Hey everybody, it is Carrie Roldan here, and welcome to episode 21 of the Carrie Roldan Show, where we spend 30 minutes or so a week having conversations that matter to the entrepreneur's body, mind, and business. I'm your host, Carrie Roldan, and I'm a wife, a mother, a running author, a personal growth junkie, and your total business BFF. And I help entrepreneurs to find their niche, create an offer that serves them, and launch it online in a way that resonates, but still feels totally authentic. Now, if this sounds like what you need, grab my new ebook. Get where you're going, girlfriend. 6 Steps to Actually Achieving Your Outrageous Goals. In it, you'll learn how to get out of your own way, stop self-sabotaging, and get inspired action now. You'll get the 3 missing steps in the Ask, Believe, Receive manifestation model. And you'll learn how and where to get the support you need to create the life and business that you dream of. And you can get all of that right here in the link in my lower third at carrieroldan.com/ebook. Okay, you guys, I created the Carrie Roldan Show because I have stumbled, and I continue to, on my entrepreneurial journey. Because the road to success thus far has been full of potholes, detours, and dead ends, not to mention self-doubt, fear, worry, debt, marital tension, and personal struggle. And I wanted to share what I continue to learn on my journey in the hopes that it will help you guys too. I told you I'm your business BFF. And on that note, I do have a community inside Google Plus called Business Besties. So if you would like to be one of my business BFFs, go ahead and join that community. Just head on over to Google Plus, click on Communities, and search for Business Besties. You will find it. Okay, so today's topic is, does my business make my butt look fat? Or the importance of exercise for entrepreneurs. Okay, as I mentioned at the start of the show, right, when I started this show, it was my mission to support entrepreneurs in body, mind, and business. Because I believe that especially if you are a solopreneur, they're not really separate. Oh, that's my dog in the background, Socks. I forgot to put her outside today, so you guys can be entertained by her all show. So especially if you're a solopreneur, right, you're not separate from your business. You are your business just like I am my business. And if your body isn't operating optimally, your business will suffer. No matter how much you work to convince yourself that you're just too busy to eat right or work out. I know this, but for some reason I forget it on a regular basis. Even though I was a high-level athlete for my high school and college years, and then went on to coach high-level athletes. And even though I love running, I love lifting weights, I love doing yoga, and even though I wrote a book, it's called Run Yourself Happy, on running and happiness, I struggle to fit working out into the rhythm of my business. Despite the fact that I'm fully cognizant that my business runs better when I run, I still fall into the trap of there's just too much important business to get done today. And I know I'm not alone. Or there's another trap that I fall into, actually. This is the story that I tell myself. I'm like, okay, I just have to, take the exercise hit right now, but soon I'll be super successful, and when I'm super successful, I'll have all the time in the world to get my workout in. And I'm smiling because I know there's several of you guys watching who are thinking the exact same thing, or now recognizing, oh God, I tell myself that story too. So according to Jim Kerwin, who is my guest this week, America's habit of inactivity, the I'll do it tomorrow syndrome, has reached epidemic proportions. I met Jim, who is the author of The Exercise Factor, which we'll be talking about, a little over a year ago at a joint venture conference. But at that conference, we really didn't get to meet. We actually connected on the phone afterward. But because we were both working on fitness-based books, and because we both are runners and kind of live in this world of knowing we need to take care of our bodies, we've been each other's moral support and cheerleaders on the entrepreneurial journey. So Jim is an Irish immigrant, and I really thought you should know that because, one, you're going to fall in love with his accent, but two, it's really close to St. Patrick's Day, and I didn't even plan that. And his book, The Exercise Factor, again, is a must-read for anyone who feels him or herself sliding down the slippery slope to inactivity. Did you know that inactivity is a causal indicator for Alzheimer's disease? Neither did I until I read Jim's book. And this week, we're going to be talking about that, the inactivity epidemic, and how we as entrepreneurs, I don't know if it's fair to say we have a special challenge, but we have our own unique challenges when it comes to really keeping our bodies, minds, and businesses healthy. So, Jim, I'm going to, I thought I was going to, but now, there we go. My computer was freezing. I'm going to put your face on the screen, and so unmute yourself and say hello.
Hi there, Carrie. Wonderful introduction. Yeah, fantastic.
Well, thank you. And you guys, I didn't mention this at the beginning of our show, but I've had major technical difficulties this morning, so it's just amazing that Jim and I are both here and saying hello to you guys. That's why my computer was freezing. It was reminding me that I had a show right now. I'm looking at the comments stream now. Please say hello. Let us know that you have arrived. And maybe before we even get started, let us know what your biggest obstacle is to exercise. So, Jim, let's talk about it. Just start from the beginning. What is the inactivity epidemic? What is it?
Well, I mean, I like to divide it into two. Most people will be familiar with what I refer to as planned exercise. Going for a run, going for a swim, going for a walk, going to the gym for a spin class or for a weight session. They'll understand that and they'll think, okay, maybe 3, 4, 5 times a week for half an hour or an hour. It obviously depends. Different people will do different things. That's planned exercise. That really hasn't changed very much over the years, but as we move into our 30s and our 40s, for a lot of reasons, like we're having families, we're much more career-oriented, especially entrepreneurs. We have to spend time on our businesses. We have a tendency to reduce the amount of our planned activity. But the other side of the coin is unplanned activity. And what I mean by unplanned is all of the rest of the activity we engage in from the moment we get up to the time we go to bed at night, leaving out that planned part. And that exercise, that activity, that movement has been totally decimated in our lifetime, caused by a whole lot of different changes in the world. You know, cultural changes, technology changes, you know, what we call progress, and a lot of it is progress. But unfortunately, one of the negative byproducts is that we are not moving enough, and we need to change that. We need to change it.
So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get real with my own stuff because you hit on something important when you said in your 30s and 40s. And I'm 38, and I mentioned in the intro, right? I was a high-level athlete. I competed NCAA Division I in track and field and cross country in college, and then I immediately became a teacher and a coach. So working out, like being at cross-country practice, and I know you were a cross-country coach too, that was built into my day. So it actually wasn't something that it didn't even occur to me that I had a choice not to do it, right? Like it was just part of my day. After I had kids, I have 3 kids. The process of having kids, I kind of weaned myself out of coaching. And so it wasn't until my mid-30s when I really felt like, oh, I have to choose to exercise. Wow. And then, of course, shortly thereafter, I started my business. And that's where, for me, I can really feel the strain, right? So I still recognize I feel better when I work out. I enjoy looking better. I enjoy fitting into my clothes better when I work out more. And yet, I think as entrepreneurs, we have this story that we tell ourselves that is, okay, but my business, if I don't schedule this client, if I don't return this call, if I don't, you know, answer these 5 emails right now, then my business won't thrive, right? Like I have to work to feed my family. Can you speak? I think I'm dancing around a question that you can.
No, I think I know what you're saying, and let me sort of say right from the get-go that I'm an entrepreneur. I've been an entrepreneur since 1990 when I left a good paying job to set up my own business. So, I've been in business ever since. And so I get it. I understand. I'm nearly 60, so it's, how many years? 1990, 25 years an entrepreneur. So it's a pretty decent length of time. And I've had my ups and my downs like us all. Well, we have a tendency to put exercise on the back burner. You said that. And if exercise is not a high priority, and by the way, it's not just exercise, we really should say our health, because exercise is one of the things that we do to maintain good health. And if our health is not a high priority in our lives, then it's a low priority. And what happens to all the low priorities? They just don't get done. We don't pay any attention to them. So one of the things that I've figured, through all of my research and my involvement is that, there are many, many benefits from exercise. Many benefits. We could spend the whole hangout talking about the benefits. But there are also an awful lot of problems associated with inactivity. And it's because of these two twin-pronged things that I set knowledge as one of my 4 key drivers of success in the book, because you have to know. And if you know what's important about exercise and what's important about nutrition and what the dangers of inactivity are, and for example, you mentioned Alzheimer's at the beginning of the show, that's scary. And all of a sudden you might go, wow, I better make sure that I'm going to be around. Like I'm driven, I don't know if I ever told you my story. My dad died of a massive heart attack when he was 47 and I was only 20. And for a long time I wondered, would I ever get to 47? I actually thought, gosh, am I going to make it to 47? Now that I'm nearly 60, I'm kind of thinking 80s, 90s, even 100, who knows? But I'm terribly conscious and sensitive to the importance of good health, and exercise and nutrition are really important pieces of that jigsaw. So what I say to people is, as an entrepreneur, you have to pay attention to these things. The healthier you are, especially as you move into your 50s and your 60s, which I have experience of and you don't, Carrie, but trust me on this one. If you want to really survive as an entrepreneur, you have to remain strong and fit and healthy and vibrant and creative and all of those positive things. And exercise helps all of them.
And so I think that's a really important point. And you touched on it in the beginning about technology, right? And how technology has actually, progress, I should say, has hindered us a little bit with regard to our unplanned exercise, right? Meaning just like walking the kids to school, or hanging the laundry on the line, or doing physical things that we have convenienced ourselves out of.
Yeah.
But crap, I lost my train of thought. See, it's when I try too hard to do it. Oh, Lumosity.com, that was it. So here's what I know, is when I spend too much time working on my business because I think I don't have time to exercise, my brain turns to oatmeal. Like things stop working right. I'm overtired. I'm caffeined out. I'm overcommitted. And the best thing I can do for myself is run. And it seems like the last thing that I need to be thinking about, because I'm looking at my to-do list going, Carrie, you don't have an hour today to go running. But if I don't, I find myself wasting an hour. Well,
here's the thing. My experience over all these years is that when I go for my run, and it usually is a run, sometimes it's a swim or a bike ride, and sometimes it's a walk, it doesn't always have to be a run, I will be creative during that time. I will actually come up with so many ideas. The first thing I do when I come home from my run is I run in here into my office and I write down on my pad all of the ideas that came into my head. That's gold dust for an entrepreneur. I have created so many ideas and programs and solutions to my problems out on the road. And I don't solve them here in this office. It's an amazing experience, and I encourage everybody to think of it that way, and you can do it too. I mean, and I promise you will be creative, and you'll come up with great ideas, and your business will get better.
And that's true even if you're not running, right? I find I call it meditation in motion.
Well, you don't have to be running. Walking is just as good. Just as good. In fact, sometimes I stop running. If I'm running hard, I slow down, and because I need to think. So I slow down, or sometimes I start walking, and I go, gosh, that's an interesting idea, and I walk for a few hundred meters while I let it develop in my mind.
So I want to go back to the Lumosity.com thing before I lose it, and then I want to talk about, for those people who I mentioned in your book, you talk about the 13 obstacles to exercising, but to those people, right, who are like, yeah, well, it's easy for these runner freaks to want to work out. But the Lumosity.com thing, I just wanted to touch on that, because here is this company who, and I'm sure it's a great app, I don't know, but that is encouraging us is selling us, don't get Alzheimer's, make sure you play our video games so that you keep your brain fresh, when really it probably would serve us a whole lot better to just be more active. Because, I mean, until I read that link with inactivity and Alzheimer's in your book, which clearly it was important to me because I'm harping on it. It's not the whole point of the book, but until I read that, I had made the connection of like sluggishness here. Like if I just go on a run, I'll come back clear and refreshed. But it hadn't occurred to me that it could lead quite that far down the path to disease. And you also talk about other diseases that inactivity causes.
Well, it's really scary, and I'll be honest and say I was the same as you until about maybe two years ago. I was at a conference and I was listening to Dr. Daniel Amen, who is one of the world's leading brain guys, let's say. And I was blown away by what he had to say, to such an extent that there's, as you say, there's a chapter in my book called Mind Your Brain, chapter 19. And I put it in there because I was always a heart guy. You know, I was always conscious of my dad and looking after my heart, and I never really thought about what's up here, what's in there, you know. I never thought about it until Dr. Daniel Amen's presentation, and as I say, he blew me away. And that chapter is really a synopsis of what he says, because I'm not a brain guy, I'm not a specialist, but the one thing I can say in a summary for you, I mean, Alzheimer's starts about 30 years before the symptoms are noticeable. Think about that. So most people, when they get Alzheimer's, it happens in their 60s. 30 years from 60 is 30.
Now.
Wow. And why does it begin to happen? We stop exercising in our 30s. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but it is a factor. And exercise is one of the major factors. Health, of course, you know, nutrition is really important as well. So nutrition and exercise are the two keystones. And that's why they're factors 1 and 2 in my book. You know, the key drivers of success. They're so important, and we have to pay attention. And it's not just Alzheimer's, it's all forms of dementia. I mean, we need to keep our brains active. And the really good news is that exercise helps our heart, but it also helps our brain. You kind of get 2 for the price of 1. It's brilliant.
And I would say 3 for the price of 1, right? Because it helps our heart, which we care about because we want it to keep beating so we can live longer. It helps our brain, so we care about that because we need to be like functioning up. There's no point in having a beating heart and having nothing upstairs, right? That's what we're seeing with so many of the elderly. I'm seeing it with 2 of my grandfathers right now who, well, my grandfather and my grandfather-in-law, that are just slipping down that dementia path. And it's really, really sad. But the third reason, the 3-fer, is our waistlines even for pure vanity. And
then you could even add a 4th for the entrepreneurs, our business. And can I just say one thing, just to sort of anticipate some kind of negative response that some people will say, hey, you know, you can't decide whether you're going to get Alzheimer's or not. You know, we don't know about Alzheimer's. There's no cure for Alzheimer's. But the one thing we know is that if we control the process, if we control the actions that we take, we can significantly reduce the chances of getting it. That's the key. And that is a fact. That is not scientifically disputed. Everybody gets it that if we improve our health, our nutrition, and exercise, we have a fighting chance of not getting dementia and Alzheimer's. That's the key here. No guarantees, but the odds are stacked in our favor.
Well, it's the whole preventative medicine argument, right? So it's doing the right things for yourself to give yourself the best fighting chance.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to shift gears, and there's two things left for me to talk about that are on my list of, like, don't forget to ask Jim about these. And I don't know if we only have 10 minutes left, so we'll see how far we get with these. But I kind of want to hit on, okay, so let's assume there's somebody watching who hates exercise or sees it as a burden or a chore or what's the bare minimum I can do to not get heart disease or dementia, right? And as you and I being enthusiasts and knowing how, you know, where it's like people used to ask me, do you love running? Do you really love running? And I had to think about that because some days I don't, right? Like there are lots of days where it's painful and no fun and it's raining and I don't want to go outdoors. But my best explanation for that was it's like brushing your teeth. If I don't do it, I feel gross.
Yeah.
You want to talk about
that? There's a number of things that I would say, you know, and again, my brain is going in all sorts of different directions, so I want to kind of control it. The first thing I want to say is, maybe exercise is a bad word. You know, it's a negative word for some people. It holds negative connotations. They don't like exercise. But what are we talking about by exercise? What is it? We're actually talking about being active. We're talking about moving our bodies. They were designed to move. We weren't designed to sort of curl up and be like this, crunched up at our computers all day long. We weren't designed for that. So, you know, exercise, I talk about it, ranges from A to Z, from aerobics to Zumba. There's all different kinds of activity. You have to find something that you like. I mean, I get it if you don't like running or you think you don't like running, and a lot of people will say, I hate running. I'm not, you know, so therefore I hate exercise. No, you hate running. What about all the other things? The Zumba, dancing. We talked about St. Patrick's Day, Irish dancing. There's all kinds of dancing that you can do. There's just so many different things. Find something that you like and start doing it. That's exercise, that's moving, that's activity. So that is really, really important. The other thing I'll say is, and I've observed this literally thousands of times over the past 10, 15 years, people will say, because you know that I was the CEO of a small number of specialty running and triathlon stores. So we used to have loads of coaching programs and all of that kind of stuff. So I've seen thousands of people start from the couch and progress to become runners. And everybody who succeeds, everyone, without exception, will look back and say, wow, that was an exciting journey. I hated it at the start, but I am never going back to where I was. And they even are converted runners. They're now doing 5Ks and 10Ks and half marathons and marathons. It's unbelievable to see the person who said, I hate running, now all of a sudden doing a marathon, which, you know, I wouldn't necessarily recommend myself as a runner. So I'm just saying that always keep an open mind. Never say never, and you'll be amazed at where you can go with this. But don't see exercise as a negative. Keep that open mind, and the important thing is that you're moving, that you're active, and that you're getting fit and healthy.
So this is so great because I was talking, so Alan Chong is here, and Jim and I were actually talking about you, Alan, in the green room, which leads beautifully into the next thing I want to ask you about. So so first I want to tell you what Alan says. Sorry, comment tracker isn't working for me. It says, I define exercise as meaningful and intentional movement that engages all the senses, which I just love that.
Yeah, I love it too. Yeah, great definition, Alan.
Yeah, and I thought that was great because you and I both talk about, in your book and in my book, we talk about the importance of exercising outside and how awesome that is just for body, mind, spirit, which again all translates back into business. But you also talk in your book, I talk a little in my book about the importance of alignment, but you talk about in the exercise factor, which I can't remember if I gave the link to get this. You guys can go to carrierolldon.com/exercise factor. And get a copy of buy yourself a copy of Jim's book. It's not free. But you talk about, in the book, you talk about this epidemic of sitting, and you say sitting has become the new smoking. And I know Alan that will just make him happy. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, and this is another really scary development, and it goes back to the conversation we had right at the start, where we have to be thinking not just about the planned exercise, but also the unplanned exercise, what we do throughout the day. And, you know, the recent research, both in Australia and in America, has really reinforced this notion that sitting is becoming the new smoking. We're all sitting far more than we should be. The average American, I think, the average adult American is sitting about 10 hours a day, 63 hours a week. Think about it. Now, what's really scary about the research is that people who are relatively fit on the planned side, in other words, they're actually exercising 4 or 5 times a week, and it's planned. They have a tendency to do less of the unplanned stuff because they're in recovery. They think they don't need to do it because, sure, I exercised earlier. Wrong. That's a serious mistake. And we need to be really aware and conscious of the importance of moving throughout the day. Yeah, so important. And there's so many different things we can do.
Well, so that's funny. So I want you to tell everybody what you told me in the green room, because one, I fall into that trap. I'll get my run in. I try not to run for less than 45 minutes, but some days I'll do shorter and faster, depending on my time schedule, right? But then, yes, I find I spend a lot of my time sitting at my computer, sitting in my car, shuffling my kids around, or sitting at their practices, right, watching them play their sports. And I wanted you to say, because I can see in your background that you have a balance ball there. So
yeah, I have a blue ball, and what I do every day, you know, I'm sitting on a chair right now because I'm sure people don't want to see me going like this during the hangout, but I could sit here in front of my computer and be literally bouncing on my ball. And the really good thing about it is I'm getting movement, but I'm also improving my posture. It kind of forces me to sit up straight, and I have, you know, then my tummy is tucked in, and, you know, it's just so much better for us. But there are so many things that we can do that we're not doing. Think about an airport. Visualize people going up and down. You know, everybody stands on the escalator now instead of walking on the escalator. I find it fascinating, especially in Atlanta airport where there are no stairs. So if you're in a rush for your plane, you have to just join the line, and everybody goes up and down the escalator standing. Or think about in a hotel. You know, it can only have 3 floors, and everybody will get the lift. Everybody gets the lift. Why? Why do we do these things? It's crazy. We do it for convenience. We do it because we don't want to be wasting time. But unfortunately, we're actually maybe losing more time that we might have at the end of our lives. So we need to be starting to think longer term.
Ooh, I'm sure you watched me have that aha. But I love that, right? The things that we do to save us time, like taking the elevator, actually cost us time.
Might actually cost us more time in the long run.
Oh, I love it, Jim. Okay, so I can't believe it, but it's already 11 o'clock here, 12:12. So it's 2 o'clock where you are, but it means that we are out of time. So do you have any closing words just before we go? Yeah, for everybody.
Well, what about my motto? You don't have to be fit and healthy to start, but you do have to start to be fit and healthy.
Oh, I love it. And my dog just freaked out because the mailman's here. So you don't have to be fit and healthy to, wait, say it again. You don't have to be fit and healthy to start, but.
You don't have to be fit and healthy to start, but you do have to start to be fit and healthy. So I'm encouraging everybody, draw a line in the sand and get moving, America.
And that is the whole point, right? Jim's website is getamericamoving.com. His book, you guys get it? Just get it, okay? Because we didn't even like touch on all the things that he goes into. CarrieRoldan.com/exercise factor. He is so thorough. This is one of the things that I love about the book is I'm someone who works out, but sometimes I just need someone to tell me what to do. And he actually has, like, he just tells me what to do. Like, so it's great. So,
can I just quickly say one thing about the book? Because this is really so important. This is who I wrote it for. The tagline of the book is ease into the best shape of your life, regardless of your age, weight, or current fitness level. So it's not for athletes. It's for people who are not athletes.
Yep. And it's awesome. I'm an athlete, but who's not really an athlete anymore. And I'm loving it. And so thank you for writing it, Jim. And thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Jim, for being my guest today. I love our conversation, and I can't wait. There weren't many of you here live today, and that's okay because I know you all are active on replay, so I can't wait to hear your guys' comments, really just on what's holding you back from exercising, maybe what you gleaned from today, and I would love it if you could let me know if you have, if you've drawn your line in the sand and today's the day that you start an exercise program. That would just like make me and Jim so happy. So let us know, and then it's another episode done. I can't believe it. It goes so fast, but that really is all the time we have for today. So thank you for being here. As you guys know, I'm on a mission to serve entrepreneurs in body, mind, and business, and it turns out they're not all that separate. So if you haven't already, go on over to carrieroldan.com/ebook and get the 6 steps to actually achieving your outrageous goals. Here's a great big virtual hug from me. I'll see you guys all over in the Business Besties community. And be sure to be here next week, same bat time, same bat channel, so that's Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. Pacific time, because I'm having Gina Hussar on the show, and we're going to be talking all about the 6-month miracle project. How cool does that sound? How cool is that? So I'm really excited. So thanks again, Jim. Thanks, you guys, and we will see you next week.